All right, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today on our session on our MEd in Curriculum Studies in International Baccalaureate. So my name is Dr. Sandra Scott, and I'll be taking you through the slides today. Also present, we'll have our introductions in a minute. That's the next slide. But I just wanted to welcome you. Thank you for joining us. And there'll be time for questions at the end. And actually, some of you sent questions, so Yvette and I will be able to address those as well. So let's see who everybody is here today. We'll start with an introduction, and I will take you through that, and also the background to the program. So, where did this come from? And our program schedule. And joining me is Dr. Douglas Adler, who will be one of our instructors in the program. And we'll just talk about, right now, really a tentative program schedule in terms of the courses being offered in which year, but we'll go into more detail when we get there. And Yvette is our expert in applications and admissions, and she'll go through sort of the infrastructure around how to apply and costs and all those questions you have, and then general Q&A at the end. All right, so let's look at our first slide here. We're located on UBC Vancouver campus. The start date is September 2020, and you can see the application deadline is March 1st, 2020. I did have some people say, oh, I saw February. No, it's definitely March 1st. So you have some time to apply. This is a face-to-face MEd cohort. So we'll be meeting for every course that you take. It's 2 years in length, and we consider that a part-time. That's so teachers, practicing teachers, can come and take our courses. And that means many of those courses will be running during the week. 4:30 start, 4:30 to 7:30, and that gives our students enough time to get here from their schools. And we haven't really discussed how we might expand on that. There may be some opportunity to take courses on Saturdays. So right now, though, it'll be a 4:30 to 7:30 course, usually on a Monday, a Tuesday, or a Wednesday. It just depends. But we'll hone those details for you, of course, before we start. So who's it for? And I get this question quite a bit. Teachers who are currently teaching in an IB school but do not have IB certification are welcome to take this course, because if you look at the IB requirements, you can use your experiences, your MEd from this course in conjunction with the IB certificates. And all that information is on our website and also on the IB website. As IB said, if you have a question, you can email them as well. So you may be you don't have an IB certificate, but you're teaching in an IB school. You also just might be someone who's really interested in IB, and you want to teach in an IB school or really incorporate, some of the IB perspectives into your own practice. So this cohort is for you as well. And also, any admin people interested in just learning more about IB within the context of curriculum studies. So we'll go through the courses, and I'll explain to you who's teaching those courses and what the focus of the course will be, and how you as an administrator might be interested in enrolling in this cohort. So once again, the application deadline is March 1st, 2020. And I do want to emphasize that it is open to educators from all areas and disciplines. So Dr. Adler and myself are both science educators. I also am an environmental educator. We have people from global education, people doing ethical, world studies, all sorts of areas. So if you love teaching language arts and you want to focus on IB, this is the cohort for you. So let me just look at so if you notice that the degree title is Master of Education in Curriculum Studies, so that's the department that Doug and I are from, Curriculum Studies. But many of our instructors are from other departments, such as Language and Literacy, Counseling, Psychology, also Educational Studies. So Curriculum Studies is really a MEd for teachers, because of course that's what we work with. We work with curriculum and with an IB focus. So It's recognized by the IBO as meeting the program of study requirements, and I mentioned that before. And I'd like to actually thank Meredith Fenton. Many of you know Meredith Fenton. She is our director of IB programs here. She does all the teacher education programs. And Meredith and I worked together on creating this cohort, and she's been instrumental and invaluable in helping me create some of the contacts that we require to be an IB, to work with IBO, and also to connect with students as well. So thank you, Meredith. All right, next slide here. So I was just talking about Meredith's program, the IB in the BEd program, and Meredith's director of that. So what do we already have in place? That is a very popular program, and it's just been surging. And so we're really hoping to see some graduates from that program enroll in our MEd in Curriculum Studies in IB. So we are the first university in Canada to offer an IB in teacher education program, and that was in 2013. And I was part of that organizing committee, as was Meredith and one of our instructors, Dr. Claudia Rutenberg, who I'll talk about. Why do we need an IB program for the MEd? Well, people are, such as yourself, may be teaching in an IB school and just want more experience to find out more theoretical perspectives, broaden understandings in discipline areas such as science education, environmental education, literacy education. So how do I encompass my IB focus and curriculum into those areas? So that's really why we came together and created this program. Many of you know that we actually created the program a few years ago, and we've honed it, we refined it, and we are offering it again. So it's professional development for you teachers. You may not be in an IB school setting. You could be in another kind of setting, but really interested in IB. And taking graduate education is really so much fun. I was very apprehensive. I was older when I did my MA, and I was a little nervous. It was just so fascinating and fun and engaging because I learned amazing things, and also I met incredible people. It's really a community of learners, and you become very close with your graduate colleagues in graduate studies. And so we do have this IB-focused graduate program. There are just not many around, and we really wanted to be part of that. And again, we will be starting in September 2020. Okay, so many of you are IB trained, and so you know the philosophy behind IB, and it's really all about making a difference. And so if you want to make a difference, maybe you're teaching at the post-secondary level. You can make a difference in teacher education. You may be teaching in an IB school in any of the levels, and you want to make a difference in that setting. You want to improve your own practice and actually share what you're learning with your colleagues. That's really a fun part of doing graduate work. Become a teacher practitioner inquiry, becoming a teacher researcher. And there are other areas you may really are interested in. You're coming from a research perspective, and you want to know more about what IB is doing in terms of their curriculum and their teaching. You may be from a government sector, and you also may be out in an outdoor setting, and you want to incorporate an IB focus, or you may already be teaching through an IB focus. And actually, many of us have come from classroom setting, K-12 classroom setting. Many of us are teacher educators, so we have the post-secondary, and many of us also have the informal, or what we call the outdoor setting. And actually, Dr. Adler and I have all of those. So we've sort of been through all those contexts. So hopefully we'll inspire you through those settings. All right, what's the history? Well, it's just really to bring people together who are interested in IB, and think of yourself as a teacher researcher. So you're a classroom teacher, and really, who better to study education than a teacher? I mean, we really are the experts. And so in this case, we're going to look at teaching in an IB setting. We have many, we offer grad students opportunities to pursue a wide range of research and professional interests. So we don't tell you what to do. The context is IB. the Master's of Education is in Curriculum Studies. So really, it's your choice of what you want to focus on within the IB setting. So many of you, of course, already know the philosophy of IB, and so that is the philosophy of this program. And we're really looking at linking theory and practice. And so really, for many teachers, we struggle with that linking of theory and practice. That's often why we take an MEd. We want to just be a better teacher. And one way is informing ourselves about educational theory. What's new, what's coming up, and what are the new pedagogies? What are engaging pedagogies that I can incorporate into my practice? One really important piece of the IB MEd would be that empowerment you feel. You're doing this work, you're exploring theory, you're applying it to your own practice, and it really makes you feel that you're making a difference. And it's all about you becoming an expert in your area through experience of taking this program and also incorporating what you experience in this program into your own practice. And it is about theory, and theory is interesting, and it's inspiring, and it's engaging. So there's a theory base to this, but there's also a very practical base to this. So I think you will feel that your quality of education will be advanced, and you can assume leadership in the IB field through participating in this program if you wish to do so. It really prepares you for that. I just wanted to introduce some of our faculty. Dr. Samson Nashon is our department head, and Dr. Adler and I are from the Department of Curriculum Studies, or EDCP. And Dr. Nashon actually is the person who created the Education 500, the research methods that you will be taking in this program, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. And he has a broad range of experience. He's been a K-12 teacher. He's been an informal educator. He's worked at the post-secondary level. He's a teacher educator, and his focus is specifically science education. And there I am. So I'm a senior instructor, which means I'm in the leadership stream. So I understand those of you who are coming in here, you're in admin, and you want to improve your leadership experience. And so that's my focus. And also elementary science, environmental education, teacher education. And I'll be teaching the 500, and I hope that you will take one of my classes as an elective. We'll talk about that. We also have Dr. Douglas Adler, a senior lecturer in science education, very rich experience in K-12 settings, classroom teacher, really understands teacher education and pedagogical content knowledge. And Dr. Adler will be teaching us the really what we call conceptual change, which really aligns nicely with the theory of knowledge in IB. So let's look at our program schedule, the first year. And I'm going to talk to you, one of the questions we had was, so who's teaching these courses? So I brought my notes about who's teaching the courses, so it just gives you an idea of who you'll be working with. So EDCP 501. Introduction to IB across the curriculum. That will be Dr. Claudia Rutenberg. And Claudia is from the Department of Ed Studies, and she herself attended Lester B. Pearson College, which is an IB college over on Vancouver Island. And Claudia focuses on philosophical approaches to educational questions, ethics, political philosophy, politics, democracy, and citizenship in education, queer theory in education. So that is your intro to IB across the curriculum. Claudia is an expert in IB. She was part of the process where we created the IB program in our undergraduate program. So we're thrilled to have her teach the EDCP 501. The Education 500, the research methods, will be taught by Dr. Adler and myself. And we will definitely have an IB focus to that course. It's a required course. All graduate students have to take that course. But the beauty of being in the cohort is that we're all together. We work as a community of learners. You bring to us what you want to focus on in terms of education and research. And we work with you probably in that course really to create a proposal for your final piece And that's all about what you want to do. The LLED 565 will be taught by Dr. Kedrick James in language and literacy. And Kedrick, like myself, is a senior instructor, so he has a leadership focus. And that he really focuses on, like me, he's into ecological literacy, so he has that environmental education focus, that global focus. But he's also into arts-based research, activism, clinical media and digital literacies, eco-poetics, and environmental literacy. So we're thrilled to have Kendrick join us for the language and literacy course. The 562 is another required course. So your two requireds are 500 and 562. Everybody has to take those. The beauty, again, is that we're in a cohort, so we act as a community of learners together. And that will be taught by Dr. Marie-France Berard. Marie France works with us in EDCP. She is actually an arts-based researcher. She's very interested. She works at the Vancouver Art Gallery. Her focus is on the theoretical underpinnings of arts-based research. And 562 is really looking at curriculum across, like the history of curriculum is what I call that course. And our final course for that term 1 is the review of research in curriculum and pedagogy with an IB focus. And teaching that course is Dr. Alistair Robertson. And Dr. Robertson, actually, I worked with Alistair. He was my instructor when I was doing my graduate program. And he actually currently teaches at the Red Cross Nordic College in Norway. He is an IB leader and a director of instruction there. So he's one of our IB experts. And he'll be, again, with a focus on probably ecological literacy, global education, environmental education in that course as well. All right, so that's our first term. Now, I will say that some of these courses may move. So we have them in year 1, but we have to make sure our instructors are available because we want the best instructors. So we will make sure that you will get the instructor that is most aligns closely with IB. So we may have to move some of these courses into the second year, but not to worry, we'll work that out. So you do have electives, and I talked briefly about that earlier. So you could take any face-to-face elective here. We have so many in language and literacy, education, psychology, counseling psychology, ed studies. We have so many amazing faculty here that you could take electives from. I just used my own, the environmental education, EDCP 538 is an example of an elective, but there are many more that you can take. And those are all face-to-face. Many courses are offered in the summer. So you have your 4:30 to 7:30 courses, and then you have courses offered in the summer. And many of our teachers take multiple courses in the summer. Year 2. So that FC 565, so I've been talking with Dr. Barbara Weber over in counseling psychology, and she's very keen to work with the IB. She has a focus in human development, learning, and culture, psychology and counseling psychology, and special education. And multiculturalism, human rights, theories of embodiment, these are all areas of expertise for Dr. Weber. So we're very excited to have her teaching the inquiry approach. And of course, she is an expert in inquiry, which we all know is an important part of the IB process and also the new curriculum in British Columbia. In Ed Studies 565, we're still working. We have a number of amazing people who want to teach. I won't give the names now because I don't want to promise and then we change. So we do have fascinating and excellent faculty who wish to teach that course, and we're still working on that one. And then again, the electives that I talked about, which is your choice. And we can talk about that as a class too. So what electives might you want to take? What would align most with your research focus in the cohort? Now, the neat part about doing an MEd today is it's changed. So the 590 is you can have a choice between the graduating project or coursework. And at one time in British Columbia, many of us did the graduating project. It was actually a requirement. But now those restrictions have been relaxed. And the graduating project, let me just explain what that is. That was usually a major paper. So you do 50 to 80 page paper on an area of interest in your in your IB, in an IB setting is what you would do. Now you can just do coursework. You don't have to do the graduating paper and our project. And that's something we could talk about in Education 500 because we'll be writing proposals in that course. So let's talk about it. What do you want to do? Do you want to, and it doesn't have to be paper. It can be a curriculum piece. It can be an art installation. It can be a website. So we're very open and very creative about what qualifies as a graduating project. So we'll work with you on that in Education 500. All right, let's see. So there's our schedule, and the summer terms go May to December. Many teachers like the summer term because the May to December terms. The summer term to be W1, of course, that's where you would probably do your final piece, and then you have your graduating paper or your coursework. Remember, you have a choice now in those. Okay, so Yvette, I think is it yours?
Yeah, I'll take over this piece. But does anyone have any questions at this point?
Exactly, people probably have some questions. I did have some questions that were sent, so let me know when you'd like me to read those, Yvette.
If they're academic, we could cover them now.
Okay, the first one is there a non-IB option? I'm not really too sure what that means, but we have many.
There is one person who contacted me who
Okay.
wanted an MEd in curriculum studies, but not necessarily with the IB focus.
Okay.
So is that possible in this program?
I don't have a problem with it because Doug and I, we have students from all across the university. We have from everywhere. So yes, if you're wishing to focus on your area, and this is all about the student. It's all about the student. So what would you like to do? What are your dreams? What do you want to research? And so we're very open to that. And Doug and Dr. Adler and I have been teaching Education 500 for, I don't know.
I'm at 7 years.
7 years, I'm like at 10. And so we've had students from everywhere, human kinetics, Indigenous education, medicine. So we're open, we're very open. So not to worry about that. Okay, this is probably one for Yvette. I previously applied to participate in the IB Master's program, which was subsequently canceled. Will my previous application payment be applied to this process?
No.
Okay, thank you. To what extent will participants be able to manage their time and tasks? And to what extent will we be required to participate at specified venues at specified times? Well, this is a good question because Doug and I just had this conversation. You do have to attend class. It's really important. And so, but we do, we can talk about that, but really most of our students don't have an issue getting here,
So you're expecting them to come to UBC Vancouver?
Yes, for now.
Mm-hmm.
We may have the odd class, and this was talked about when we were creating the program, that we could offer in the community. So
in a school district.
In a school district.
Mm-hmm.
So hold on to that because that's not a definite no that it's all going to happen here. Sorry.
Would you say that it'll happen on a Saturday or?
It would be a Saturday.
Saturday, all day?
Yes, it would be one of those all-day Saturdays. We do those. Education 500 actually is a good one for that. Just because it's, it's a journey. Yeah, and there's so much content that you have to refine it somehow. And one way is doing it through a shortened period of time. And actually, Dr. Rutenberg also suggested that she might be interested in that model as well. So it's actually, in consultation with the instructor, maybe we can come up with a really fluid and creative schedule. Yeah. All right. Will participants design their own completion assignment? Yes, it's all about you. So we're not going to tell you what to do for your final piece, whether you just want to do coursework or whether you want to do the final project. That's up to you. We just help you with it. And that can be determined in Education 500. I have a family. Is part-time studying possible? Well, we really do kind of consider this part-time in the sense that
It is a part-time program.
it is, yeah.
And it's designed to be flexible so that you're able to work and then study on the side.
Right. So that it really is. It was great. I worked full time for both my graduate degrees. Here's one for a vet because I don't know the answer to this one. Transferring from another school is accepted.
I would have to look at transcripts
Okay.
and then discuss it with you as well.
Okay. So that would be case by case basis again
Case-by-case
between
basis.
the two of us. And I went through the experience and background of the instructors, and if you want to know more, please email me. And yes, the IB focus, there'll always be an IB focus to the curriculum of every course. And then we have experts in the field teaching IB across the curriculum and our summer course as well. Okay.
In terms of workload, can you speak to that a little bit?
Workload, it really depends. It really depends on the instructor. Most of our students take 2 courses per term, which will really be what you will be doing as well. So, yeah, you can do it. You can do it. We help you organize your work, and because you work with Dr. Adler and myself in Education 500, we help you with that. So we talk about, how to manage the workload. I'm just thinking, Dr. Adler, is there any comment from you on the workload about a practicing teacher taking this cohort?
Shouldn't be a problem.
I don't think it should be a problem.
We're more than accommodating
Yeah.
because we're all teachers.
Yeah, we're all teachers, you see. So and we love teachers. We love doing teacher research. So we never really have to worry too much about workload. And I would say the instructors are just so incredibly flexible and understanding. So it's always a case-by-case basis on that piece as well. So never worry about that. Was there any other questions here? I think that's good. People may ask also. We'll have more questions at the end.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Yvette, and I'm going to cover the admissions and applications process, excuse me, as well as the tuition fees, and then you can ask me questions at the end of the presentation. So we're looking for a completed 4-year undergraduate degree in education. Is there any other fields that you're looking at, Sandra? As I said, a 4-year undergraduate degree in education. Is there?
Oh, we just had this discussion. Yeah, but people are asking, if they don't have an education degree, it is, the MEd program is actually specifically designed for practicing teachers. But I will say this, if you're an informal educator or you've done some you have experience in educational settings, maybe you were a TA or you worked at a program. Again, the applications are really a case-by-case basis. Again, we look at your experiences, we look at your transcript, and we make that decision. So I'm not going to rule out the fact that you don't have a BEd, or in my case, I have the professional certificate in education. So never feel that, I don't have the background, I can't apply. And also just send me an email. Yvette and I can chat about it. Never feel that you're alone in the application process. We're here to help you with that.
So the GPA requirement we're looking for is the B+ or 76% at UBC on your senior level courses, which are 300 level and above. Or if your undergraduate degree is at a B or a B- range, which is 68 to 75%, and you have a BEd, then you also qualify in meeting the GPA requirement. For anything lower than that, your application would be considered a special case. And in these situations where you do not meet the GPA requirement, then the admissions committee can write what is called special case rationale to recommend you for admission to the program to the Faculty of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies. We also ask you to order 2 official sealed transcripts from all post-secondary institutions that you've attended, with the exception of UBC, because I have access to UBC records. And we ask you to upload them front and back in a single file as a PDF. If you participated in an exchange program, then we also need to see transcripts from those institutions. And the reason why I say to order 2 official transcripts is because you're going to open one, upload it front and back to the online application, and then the other one should remain sealed. If you're admitted to the program, then the sealed transcript, you'll be asked to mail the sealed transcript to the Faculty of Graduate and Postdoctoral Studies. Please ensure that your transcripts state that you have graduated. So when I talk about the back of your transcript, most transcripts, especially in Canada, have what is called a grading key or grading scale on the back of it, and that helps me calculate your GPA. It gives me the values of the letter grades. We're also looking for a 600-word or 2-page statement of intent outlining your experiences and interest in IB teaching and learning. Did you want to speak to that, Sandra?
Yes, I think for many of us, it's a little daunting to think, how do I craft this? And so what we look for in the statement of intent is a very clear and focused research trajectory. So what you're going to tell us who you are, your background, what are you really interested in doing, what do you love, you know, and what do you want to learn more about, particularly within the context of IB and learning more about teaching and learning and curriculum. So think about yourself as a teacher researcher. Think about what you might want to explore in that. And in the SOI, I would even suggest just including a question, a nice question that kind of lets us know what you're interested in. And you can include who, where, and what. So who do you want to work with? Where might that take place? And what might it be in? It might be in science education or math or global ed. So give us the particulars. That can go right into the research question. So think of that as a case study. So you're telling us about the case. And then I suggest looking at some literature, and I'm saying, do a Google search on some of the areas of educational research in that area. Maybe look at someone's dissertation or MEd in IB and look at what they explored. Have a look at their references. We don't ask for many, maybe just 1 or 2. Maybe a learning theory you're really interested in, or a IB expert that has written on some work, curriculum and instruction. So 1 or 2 references to some literature. That is great. It doesn't have to be long, clear, focused, a nice research question telling us what you want to do, and then maybe 2 references. That's all.
We're also looking for a resume that outlines your professional and academic accomplishments. And what else are you looking for in that? Any publications, newsletters?
Sure. And people always say, "Oh, I don't have I don't have a publication in a peer-reviewed journal." Oh gosh, that we're interested in everything. So if you have a website, a blog, if you've written a piece for a teacher magazine, if you've done a presentation as a guest speaker or an expert talk, please include that. These are all really important experiences that inform who we are as an educator and how we disseminate what we know. So never worry that it's not academic enough. It's always relevant. It's always important. And if you have any questions, just email me and I'm happy to respond to that.
We're also looking for 3 years teaching experience in 1 IB program, BYP, MYP, or DP. What happens if someone doesn't have that?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, because we talked about that. There's always it's always a case-by-case basis. And I can't emphasize that enough, because we would have to check with IB International, of course, but I remember when we did meet with them, they were so excited about this cohort. So we would, we would have that conversation. But there'll be people who want to incorporate IB and they're teaching at the Vancouver Aquarium or Science World. So, they wouldn't be specifically teaching IB class, but you would have students from an IB school come in. So that's how we're very sort of broad and inclusive in our understanding of what an IB program is.
Letters of recommendation. We're looking for 3 letters of reference, 1 academic and 2 professional references. And your professional references should be from people that have supervised you. Do you want to speak to that, Sandra?
Yes, so that could be usually your principal or an administrator, someone that has seen your work, perhaps done an assessment and evaluation of your work. So someone who knows your practice, and in those cases, it's usually a principal or an administrator. And then the academic reference, that's important actually. You want someone that perhaps you took a course from, or professionally from academia. We do look for that. Sometimes we get all 3 from, the field, and that's wonderful too, but we have to make that distinction. We really do look for the academic reference, so please try and include that. It's very important. Usually we don't take references from colleagues, but we have. Douglas, you want to speak to that?
What's that?
When we take a reference from a colleague. We have done that in the past.
Yes.
We have. So perhaps if you want to include a colleague as a reference, that would be someone who has seen you teach, who understands your philosophy of teaching, of philosophy of education, someone who can speak to your ability to engage with graduate work. So perhaps someone who already has an MEd or an MA or a PhD. That would be great. That would really help.
So once you submit your application, an e-reference will be sent out to your referees. They can use the form provided or upload their own letter, and instructions are provided to them. Say they're a retired professor, they can mail it in to my office, but as long as they sign the seal on the flap of the envelope. So if you could let them know to sign the seal on the flap of the envelope before sending it off to my office, that would be great. Applicants from a university outside of Canada in which English is not the primary language of instruction must provide results of an English language proficiency examination as part of your application. Tests must have been taken within the last 24 months at the time of submission of your application. So if this applies to you, please contact me. The other piece we're looking for is for the Faculty of Graduate Postdoctoral Studies. It's called an Acknowledgement of Part-Time Status form. It is uploaded on the online application itself, and we ask you to fill out the form, sign it, and upload it to your application. And if you have an existing student number, please use that number. So where you're going to apply is at grad.ubc.ca/apply/online. When you're doing the program search, we suggest that you look under IB02 or MEd in Curriculum Studies Professional Cohort, and it starts in September. Under Experiences and Interests, please select the International Baccalaureate, IB02. And when applying to the program, if you have an existing UBC student ID number, please use it. Because if you create a new one and you have an existing one, then your UBC records will not populate your application. And then we'll have to merge your student ID numbers, and that can take some time. We also ask you to upload all of your supporting documents. So again, your transcripts, your resume, your statement of intent, and anything else you feel that you want the admissions committee to know about you. So the application is available. The application deadline is March 1st, and that includes all of your supporting documents. The application fee is $106 for domestic applicants and $168.25 Canadian for international applicants. So if you're living abroad but you're a Canadian citizen, you're paying the Canadian rate, the domestic rate. So the tuition fees. So the domestic tuition fee installment, this is what you would be paying per term. Currently, it's set at $2,523.50 plus student fees. Now the student fees for last term were approximately $745, and it tends to vary from term to term. So it'll likely be less in term 2 and then again in the summer. So just keep that in mind. So the current program, domestic program tuition cost is $15,141 plus student fees. If you're an international applicant, and your fees would be, or the installment firstly would be $2,572.98 Canadian plus student fees. And currently the program tuition cost, if you're international applicant, is $15,437.88 Canadian plus student fees. Now the tuition is paid in 6 minimum installments, so that equals to 6 terms, your 2 years. And fees are typically paid 3 times a year, January, May, and September. And you're charged a whole program fee, not a per credit fee. And typically the university reserves the right to increase fees every year, which they have, 2-3%. In terms of what your tuition fee covers, it will cover your required courses, but also if you take any elective courses, it should cover the tuition fee of that course. And Sandra may want to speak to the electives.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to speak to it now or afterwards.
Yeah, we have so many great courses, and it doesn't have to be in curriculum studies. You can take your electives. If you want to take a course on quantitative, statistics, you may do that. So you're not limited in your choice of elective. And certainly in Education 500, we can talk about, what would best suit your focus for your program.
So student fees, they're charged from term to term, and they do vary. Term 1 tends to have the most student fees, and then it seems to get lesser as we move through term 2 and then into the summer term. There's one fee that you may be able to opt out of, and that's the health and dental plan, which is currently $256.92 per year. So there's an opt-out provision for that, and it's charged in September. So that's some possible savings. But in terms of the Compass card or UPass card, since a course would be in the greater Vancouver area, you would have to pay the $164 per term as part of your student fees. But it will give you access to 3-zone on public transit. Teacher education certificates. This is directed to teachers in Vancouver Lower Mainland that have taken UBC students in their classrooms as student teachers. And if this applies to you, I'd suggest that you contact the teacher education office. This is another possible savings for you on your tuition. If your colleagues have them, you may want to ask them for their certificates, because you'd be able to use that provided it hasn't expired. And you could use that on your tuition, like I said, or unless you want to sponsor a teacher and get access to teacher education certificates, that's another option. But I suggest that you contact the teacher education office for more details. Does anyone have any questions regarding what I covered for admission and application process? Are there any questions on the
Oh, I think we covered them all.
for admissions or application process?
We did, we covered them all.
Are there any slides that you want to see again?
Doug, do you have anything you'd like to add to the process? Okay.
Very good.
I will say, Doug and I both did our MEd here, or our MA, our master's work here at UBC. So we kind of understand the process. And that's why we teach the Education 500, and students usually say, you've really explained to us how graduate life works. So never fear, we've been in your shoes, and we've probably taken every course between us in the curriculum studies, not so much in the other departments. But we do know everybody because we've been here a long time. So I think you will find that we very much are a community of learners, and we're very collaborative, we're very caring. I think one thing students often say is they've never really experienced such care as a learner, and that's really one of we really believe in that. So never feel that you're doing this on your own. We're a community here. We're here to help and support and make this an enjoyable experience for you.
Any questions at all?
Okay, you must have been very thorough. Now, what people can do, if you do have questions too, just email me. I had a couple of people email me from our last one, and happy to help. So my email's there. Probably best to email me. I'm rarely in my office. Being a science educator, I'm often in the labs teaching. So the email is probably the best way to contact me, but you can always leave a message on my machine. I will get it.
If you have any admissions or application questions after the session, feel free to contact me.
Oh, good. That's great to hear, Barb. Thanks so much, Barbara. She just said it was clearly presented, so we're getting better. We're getting better at this. I think it helps that I've been through the program myself. Dr. Adler's been through the program. Yvette, you've done so many cohorts. So we really do understand some, trepidation you may have, and also we try to be as clear as possible about how to make the application process work for you.
Just one person.
Okay, good.
Thanks for
Oh, you're
letting me
very
know.
welcome. You're very welcome.
Another person's typing. One person's still typing.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. Yes, we were too, Barbara. And I think at the time, Barbara was just saying how disappointed it was that the previous iteration didn't go. And I think I have a good feeling about this time around. I think we have more students in this, people who have their B.Ed in an IB context. Thank you to Meredith Fenton and the IB B.Ed at UBC. So we are thinking there will be more people applying because they're ready for it. We've had the IB program for a number of years now in our B.Ed. We have graduate students who have graduated who are now interested in doing an M.Ed in curriculum studies in the IB. So it's all about enrollment, isn't it, Yvette? It's all about enrollment, and of course, your supporting documents. So you apply, and then we go through your documents, and that's how it works. So we're looking for better and great enrollment this time. So yes, I apologize. It was very disappointing for all of us that it didn't go through.
Person is typing.
Okay, good. Oh, you're very welcome, Barbara. Thanks for joining us today. Oh yes, we have a Twitter. We are on Twitter. So follow us on Twitter for sure.
Sign off.
I think we can. Thanks, everyone, and don't hesitate to contact me. And if you have a program requirement questions of that as well, we're happy to help. So thank you, and we get to drive home in the snow. Thanks again, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.